Hello, and welcome to another episode of One for the Table. I am your sensual, seductive hostess with the mostress. That's not a word. Kimchi.
And I'm just Ken. Hi, this is John Kang.
Hi, that himbo. His name is John. Thank you for tuning into our podcast weekly. We were laughing at ourselves the other day because we answered listener questions last week. And then after we recorded them, we got a DM from one of our listeners who asked a question that we never got to.
And literally in all caps was like, please answer the question. And the thing is, it's a good question as well. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start. We're going to start with it.
It's going to hate us. I think his name is Teddy. It's TDDY. And also, he doesn't follow us on our Instagram. I don't know if
Damn, Teddy.
Or if you unfollowed
Damn, Teddy.
us.
Wait, watch that. Watch he just unfollowed after that episode where wow, they answered every question except for mine. Unfollow. Yeah.
We just ran out of time. So, Teddy, please follow us again. We appreciate you. All right. This was Teddy's question. What are your thoughts on American white cooking culture, always lumping all Asian cuisine types into just simply Asian? Cooking shows such as MasterChef will make sure to spotlight Italian, German, and French-specific dishes, but then also going to say, I made Asian ribs.
It's such a good question.
My personal favorite thing that I love doing is when someone says, oh, I made Asian chicken salad, I like to look at them directly in the eye and I would say, what makes it Asian? And then there was oh, there's oranges. I was those are clementines.
Yeah.
They get this look and did I fuck up?
Yeah.
And then, or sometimes it'll just be some wonton crisp in their chicken salad, or little bits of cilantro,
Yes.
I mean, yes, there are ingredients used in Asian cooking, but Asia is a huge continent with billions of people. And I guess to summarize something as Asian dish. But I think it goes down to their lack of Asian cuisine to specify. Because I feel us as Asians, we know the difference between Thai flavors, Vietnamese flavors, Japanese flavors, Korean flavors, Malaysian flavors, etc., etc. But, still to the general American public, you say Asian chicken salad and you're going to think of salads with wonton crisp and mandarin chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say oh, our ribs have a Szechuan spices, but then I'll taste it and I'm what Szechuan spices?
Mm-hmm.
And also Szechuan, there are millions of spices, in Szechuan cooking alone. So calling something Szechuan spice the equivalent of this is American Southern spice. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Margaret Cho had the best skit back in the day. I think she talked about this stuff in the early 2000s about the Asian chicken salad. Mm-hmm. And actually based off, I have Asian chicken salad in my cookbook and I based it off of that skit because it was your typical, the Asian chicken salads that you'd get from Wendy's and they would have those canned oranges, a sweet and sour teriyaki salad dressing with the noodles and stuff. And I was just oh, God. And she literally would say this is not the salad of my people. And it was so good. And the way that she would react to it. And it all comes out of that overgeneralization, but that it's not even the ignorance at this point. It's the laziness.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, the most offensive part about it, where it's just oh, they're not just lumping it all together. It's the fact that they can't be bothered to go even deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's offensive in that way where it's oh, they're all the same and there's no real need to dig deeper. And as you said, Asia's really big. It's not just East Asians. It's not just Southeast Asians. It's also South Asians. And it's also technically fucking Russians too.
Mm-hmm.
Asia's huge. And there's so many different cultures and countries and peoples in there, and to just lump it all together and just all call it Asian as a safety net to not be offensive, but it overgeneralizes to the point that it is offensive. I feel like it's like liberal laziness, where it's like we want to be sensitive, but I don't care enough to actually be accurate. Whereas like conservative offensiveness is just like fucking racism, but like, you know, it's giving Nancy Pelosi kneeling in a kente cloth. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about or why you're doing what you're doing. You're just doing it because like you want to look good and you want to like feel like you did enough.
Yeah, agreed. Do you remember that recent controversy with crack sauce?
No.
There was like a creator that was like, "Oh, today we're gonna make delicious crack sauce. Like, it's so good, you won't be able to stop eating it."
And it's that like Lao. Yeah.
So they were making like jasam, and they couldn't call it jasam for whatever reason, and they were calling it a crack sauce. So I think Sang, who's like a Lao creator,
it was that was like a really beautiful video that he did about it.
He's like, don't call this like you know, crack is, don't call like the sauce, you know, like of our culture, like something offensive and like highly addictive and dangerous. But call it by its name, Lao sauce, or sorry, jasam. Lao sauce. Oh my god!
And that also like
myself.
Right, and that also is like, I think that part is like, that doesn't really fall under like the laziness and the ignorance of it as much as like when people do that, like that's like attempted appropriation. That's like one person's attempt at appropriating something and like giving something a name and trying to like take ownership of the name. People in the food space do it all the time, where they try to rename a dish using like a clever little thing, like a clever string of words, and trying to take ownership of that. And like that's such a, like a BuzzFeed era of food, where they just like rename, and normally they rename something from Asia or Africa or South America, like obvious, or the global South, and they're just like take a technique, take a thing, and take a dish, and just rename it and repackage it for like Western consumption, and try to take ownership of that. And it's actually kind of like, to me, it hurts a lot more when you see your own people try to do with that. I can't think of any kind of like example. Who was the person that tried to call it crack sauce? Were they also like Lao or South Asian?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, then that's just appropriation. But like, I've actually seen some like Chinese creators try to like change the name off of a Chinese name and try to like do something clever and try to take ownership of that. I was like, girl, it really do be your own people sometimes.
And also what tickles me is when, let's say, a Korean creator is introducing like a Korean dish like to the Western audience, but Korean isn't their like first language. So then they completely butcher the pronunciation of the dish. Which, like, I think it's fine, but it also takes you like 2 seconds to like Google how it's pronounced.
And you're also like, I bet you're related to somebody who can tell you how to say it too, unless you're like, you know, adopted. But that's neither here nor there. Like, you can find out how it's pronounced.
Like, I think it was like this like one like Korean creator who was making tteokbokki, but they're like, today I'm gonna make tteokbokki, and I'm like,
not tteokbokki.
Tteokbokki, yeah. I was like, and again, I understand, you know, like Korean isn't your first language, but like, there's so much tteokbokki content that's out there. It would have taken you like 1 second to figure out how to pronounce it correctly, you know? So if you're going out of your way to make content to educate people on how to make tteokbokki, I feel like the first step you could have done is learn how to pronounce tteokbokki correctly, so you're telling it to people correctly.
But are we sure this isn't like a way that this creator is like trying to drive engagement? Because there are some people that purposefully mispronounce things to like fire up the comments.
It's like those people that like in the middle of like their cooking demo, you see like a random like cockroach like scrolling by, or then you see like random mice in the corner, just like so people like,
and like mispronouncing foods is like one of the best ways to do that. There's a person that's called like tzatziki tteibottekai sauce, and like it just went viral because of that. Like, and there were so many like video reactions. So whenever somebody like mispronounces something a little bit too obviously, I always just assume like, oh, they're trying to get people in their comments fired off.
Oh. Okay.
So maybe he does know how to say it. Maybe he's saying it incorrect. Maybe we're not doing things right. We need to be mispronouncing.
Whenever we cook like American food, like today I'll be making sausage and biscuit.
Biscuit.
It's like, I don't even know like that, huh?
Right.
Like, today I'll be making jambalaya.
Freed's chicken.
Free chicken. Yeah. Turn the tables on them. I don't know who.
Oh man.
All right. Speaking of turning the tables, you've actually had a really cool week this week. You've been very busy.
I have. I just got back from New York, and I spent the whole week there. I was doing like just a mini book tour stop in New York City. And most interestingly, I was on the Drew Barrymore show. It was my first time on national TV. And it was really scary.
Oh my God. Do you feel famous?
I don't.
Do you feel like you're better than everybody else?
That was the situation before I was on TV. Yeah, no, I was super nervous. I was like pacing backstage and stuff like that, just back and forth before my segment. And it was so dumb too, because like I was so scared and so freaked out. And like my heart was racing up until the thing. And the segment itself was like 11 minutes, like 13 minutes long. Like it was so fast. But one thing I will say, like, Drew is so nice. Like, she was so warm and so kind, and immediately as soon as like she came up, she gave me a hug and she knew all this stuff about me. She really made me feel like, that it was like just a good experience. And also the hilarious Ross Matthews was there. I did not know. I'm not a person who watches daytime TV. I didn't know he was on the show, but he was. And he was really nice too.
Oh, Ross is nice.
Yeah. Like backstage, like we were in like hair and makeup together, and he was just like super nice, which is, I don't know why I was super surprised by that, but like, you just don't know people.
Yeah, to me, like Ross always gives off like that Pillsbury Doughboy energy. Not like in terms of appearance, but he's always like so jolly and like giggly.
Exactly. No, he is that. He is bright and jolly and just like, yeah. And it's genuine. It comes from a genuine place. At least it seems like it comes from a genuine place. He also came into like the dressing room knowing stuff about me, which is like, understandably, like that just means like they're really good at their jobs to know the people that they're about to go on camera with and stuff like that, so they can have like an established rapport. But yeah, no, Ross was great and knew that we were from Detroit and stuff like that. I'm not sure Ross knew that we were friends and like we had a connection to Drag Race like that, but
I'm sure he didn't dig in that far.
yeah, right.
It's like, I know everything about you, John Kong. I know you live in Detroit. I know you have a podcast with kimchi.
Right.
I know your shoe size.
Yeah.
I know everything there is to know about you.
All for an 11-minute segment. And so, yeah, I made fried rangoons, barbecue pork fried rangoons with Drew and Ross.
It looked really good. It looked like they put a lot of ketchup in that rangoon. Is that how you normally?
They put so much ketchup in the rangoon. No, it's that.
I was like, looking at the segment, and I'm like, that's like, there's more ketchup than like pork in that rangoon.
Pork in there. Yeah. I think like that was just like they just wanted to show the bowl like mixing stuff, but like we didn't use that. They had some prepared stuff that was already chilled because under like the lights and stuff, everything was already like too liquid to make it. But when we ate it, it turned out really well. I didn't really cook any of it or do any of the prep because they have like a kitchen staff that made sure everything was right. I just did the steps, but it was still my recipe.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to make my ketchup rangoon.
Your ketchup rangoon.
It looked delicious. I want it.
Actually, Also, another thing that was really fun when I was in New York is I got to do a collab with Dan Pelosi. Grossi Pelosi.
Mm-hmm.
I will say he probably has my favorite chili sauce recipe out there right now.
Well, really?
He does like an Italian, like a chili oil. Like his chili oil is so good. And you know why? It's because like his is like an Italian inspired chili oil and stuff. He literally like deep fries tomato paste in his chili oil, and it's so caramelized and it's so sweet, and he uses garlic and stuff. It is so good. It is so good. It could stand to be a little spicier, but like otherwise, like we did like a collab where we both did a fried egg, and he fried an egg in his chili oil and I fried an egg in ginger scallion sauce, and we got some New York pizza and like we put our eggs on together. Mm-hmm. But his chili oil was so good to the point where it's like, you know how you never want to bring stuff back in your suitcase or anything like that? I considered it.
Whoa,
I considered risking my luggage by putting like chili oil in there with all my clothes. I didn't, because we didn't really have a good enough container, but like I thought about it.
Okay, you could put it in like a mason jar and like wrap it in saran wrap and then put it in a Ziploc bag and...
Yeah, but like I was in Brooklyn. I didn't want to like do all that and then get on the subway
has saran wraps and Ziploc bags.
Yeah, but we were at his house and stuff like that. I just like wanted to go home after that. So
you didn't want to take it home that bad.
It was good. Anyways, I think his book is called Let's Eat.
Okay. So luckily you have the ability to replicate the recipe.
Yes. And also that where it's like, I have his cookbook. Mm-hmm. I also like know how to make chili oil. I saw him do it. So I was like, I don't really need to bring this back with me. Mm-hmm. But I definitely like, it was a tasty and delicious thing. Mm. What else? Oh, for Valentine. How was your Valentine's Day?
My friend had a single girl's crab boil. So we just boiled crabs and corn, just like simply. And just like dipped in garlic butter. Because Dungeness crabs are in season right now. And I mean, I'm sure the price varies everywhere, but the Chinese market here is like $5.99 a pound.
Are you shitting me? That is such a good deal.
Yeah, last year, like, when it was like $3.99 a pound, there was like a line out the door of like people like buying crabs. But yeah. It wasn't as cheap as that, but
for Dungeness crab, that's like what, $10, $12 a crab? That is so good.
And then all you have to do is just literally boil it in a pot with like onions, right?
And there's so much meat in them.
And it was fresh. Mm-hmm. And Dungeness crabs are very satisfying because like a lot of the king crabs, like come frozen. Mm-hmm. And obviously blue crabs are blue crabs, but like Dungeness like crabs are just like the meat is like dense and sweet.
And sweet and so good.
And then you like crack the shell open, and then the crab roe, you mix it with rice. I squeeze in a little butter and lemon in there too, and you mix it all up. And
one of my favorite things that's going to happen this summer is like one of my close friends, who happens to also be like a neighbor who lives like a couple blocks away, is installing a pool into his house. And so I told him, I was like, yeah, in Detroit, he's putting a pool in. And it's not like a big pool, but it's definitely like a gay sitting around pool. And I was just like, okay, yes. And we're going to christen your pool with a crab boil. Like I will come over and we will do it. Because he loves food and, he loves to eat and he loves cooking and stuff. It's like, we're going to do a crab boil at your house because crab boil by the pool just sounds so nice.
Is it like an indoor pool or an outdoor pool?
It's an outdoor pool.
Oh, outdoor pool in Michigan. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a thing. Like you can, they're engineers. And so like they're engineers with a like exquisite taste. So they're doing a really good job of making it just like a feature in their backyard. And also like the houses, and there's so much space in their yard. So like it's nothing just to spend some of it on a pool.
Honestly, I admire people like who know how to like fix up their homes and like install things. 'Cause if you don't, it costs so much money to like hire like contractors like to do all that, and they might not even do a good job.
I did TaskRabbit once, and it was for something that I kind of already knew how to do. I just didn't want to go through the hassle of doing it, and it was so expensive. It was like extending and installing some gas piping so that I could like plug in my gas washer dryer, and I spent like $800 on this fucking TaskRabbit. Yeah, and I like ended up redoing his work anyway. I was so mad. I was like, what the hell? And I was like, this is like what people do for like all the time, for everything. Like for me, it was like, okay, I didn't want to go through and I didn't want to redo gas piping, but that, like, seriously?
You know what TaskRabbit is great for?
What?
Putting IKEA furniture together. And I say this because I put together many IKEA furnitures in the past, but then there's always like a step or two that I fuck up, and then the entire like bookshelf is like slightly crooked, but then there's no way to fix it without like undoing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, one time I was like, let me just hire TaskRabbit. And there are TaskRabbit folks like that just specialize in putting together IKEA furniture.
Well, IKEA owns TaskRabbit.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
Yeah.
Work. Well, they came and like they put together like all the bookshelves that I had, like which normally would have taken me like hours in like 1 hour, and they were like so sturdy and they were perfect, and it didn't even cost that much. And I'm like, all right, some things I'll leave it to professionals.
I, at the risk of sounding really bougie.
No. What? Tell us, aside from your state-of-the-art ovens and inductions and what else do you have?
I haven't had to really like put together a lot of the furniture. Like since moving into this house, a lot of the furniture that I've purchased comes pre-assembled. So yeah, I haven't had to do it. But I will say, Little John loves assembling. He loves Legos. He's that gay. Like he loves Legos. He likes putting stuff together, so I don't have to really worry about it. And so like, yeah, I've put together like one bookshelf in the past 3-4 years. It's really nice.
Damn. So you guys have like a perfect like harmony. He puts together furniture. You cook the meals.
He does the laundry. He does the laundry now.
Top, the other one bottoms. Like, wow, talk about a mess.
Oh, we're just...
It's as if you were like meant for each other.
It's the American dream. The nuclear family. 2 men and 2 pit bulls.
And you have a house. My latest guilty pleasure has been so Architecture Digest has all these like videos of like celebrity home tours.
Oh, where they say, "Hey, AD."
Yeah. And I've been like, I love watching them, and like, I don't know, I'm just like fascinated by them. And all the celebrities all have like the same oven.
You know why?
Why?
Because most of them don't plan on cook. They have like one of 2 different brands of ovens. It's always the 2 same companies, and they like to buy those because whenever you put your home as a celebrity on Architectural Digest, that generally means they're going to sell that house really soon. So they can list it as seen on a Architectural Digest. And those stoves, like, those are like stoves for like rich people who don't cook.
So they don't function as much?
No, they function great. I've actually used them. I actually like catered like bajillionaires at a bajillionaire's home, and they had that stove, and I was like, oh, this is really great. But at the same time, like, it's so nice that you are afraid to mess it up by cooking on it. And I was like,
my stove, like if like a broth spills over and then like it carbonizes, whatever, I'll just wipe it later.
Yeah. No, this is that thing is like, I don't know. You just have to be fine with, it's like walking, it's like, having Louboutins, where it's like, okay, the whole point is to like be so rich that you don't care that you're messing it up and scuffing up the bottoms of your shoes and like messing up the red paint at the bottom of the shoes and stuff like that. I guess like the point is having a stove that is so nice and that you're like, oh, I don't care about money. I'm just going to cook on this thing. But it doesn't really do anything that much better than the other stoves. It's just pretty.
You see, it was mostly for like aesthetic, and
it's definitely a very showy thing. Yeah, it's a very showy thing and a great thing to have in a house that you were about to list for like $25 million.
I guess if you're like a bajillionaire or whatever, you're like, all right, well, I have all this money. I can't take it with me. What else can I spend it on? Or I think like the stove.
Yeah, I think the two most important rooms in the house that you're trying to sell to like focus on are like the kitchen, and I think it's the main bathroom. I think those are the two things that like people really like, where people really spend time thinking about their lives in that house, whether or not they actually do. Like, you know, the time that you spend in your kitchen is definitely your aspirational self, and the time you spend in the main bathroom is like what you're thinking about when you're getting ready for your day. So
it's true.
When people try to sell their homes or rent places, they try to make sure the main bathroom and the kitchens are really nice.
Like, yeah, I agree. Because if I were to get my dream house, I definitely want a kitchen with a beautiful island. I want an island so bad.
Yes.
Like, I've been wanting an island my entire life. And everybody I know has an island except for me. Anyways, and a bathroom with one of those like Japanese bathtub where it's like so deep.
Oh, the onsen tubs.
Yeah, because like as a tall person, regular bathtub.
Yes.
Like it's really like hard to like get like a full soak.
Yes.
You know,
I will also say though, those are like a pain in the ass to get in and out of.
But you know,
it's worth it because if you only take a few baths at a time,
exactly.
Yeah. My tub is, I love the fact that my tub is really, really big. It could fit like two people comfortably. Me and Little John comfortably. We just sit and soak in there.
It must be nice.
And
also, I want a toilet, but I want like nothing on the toilet. Because you know like how some places in people's house, the toilets are like right next to the wall?
Yeah.
You know, so then like...
What do you mean? Like in a corner situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's uncomfortable.
You know, like not that I'm like stretching like my legs like far open, but like
spread eagle.
But like if I was like sitting in the toilet, I want like enough room where two people could be holding my hands from like each side if they wanted to.
Okay.
I mean, no one's gonna.
I mean, the visual is a little odd, but like I understand the desire. Yeah, I get that.
Face, yeah.
For me, like I love, and I don't have this, but it's so nice when people have like the wash closets, or like where the toilet, it's its own separate little tiny chamber and it closes off from the rest of the bathroom. Oh, that is. That's so luxe. I love that so much. And like, I love it. I love hotels where they do that.
Yes.
I just think I don't know why, but it seems so dated and it ruins the whole experience whenever I see a telephone in there. I know it's so that you can call for help if something ever happens, but it's like, Rex.
Also, most of us are on our cell phone anyway.
Yeah, it's true. One thing, when you get your first of all, I will be designing the kitchen for your future home. But like, I don't like it when people like waste the space of their kitchen island by putting like a stove or a sink in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, bitch, like put that in the back counter against the window. Like sinks have to go. I don't know. Sinks have to go under a window.
I agree. For me, like island, I want to set up a buffet if I'm having like a get together.
Exactly. And I also like
beautifully laid out.
Right. And I also want like an island to possibly like be a makeshift table if that had to be, or like just like, yeah, that it has to be, you need all that. If you're not using all that counter space, then you're wasting your island. I do love a waterfall look where the stone goes down the island and then goes down the one side.
Oh, the Kim Kardashian, like, has that, I think.
Well, I haven't seen hers. But I do like it when it like goes down that one thing, as they call it, the waterfall. But then it's like drawers on that side and then it's empty on the other side. I think that's so pretty.
Also, so obviously I follow a lot of like communities with like, you know, like people like renovating their homes and stuff just because like I think it's fun. So many people have like things that are like really, really deep and wide, made out of metal, that they have to like clean weekly.
That's like what?
Why?
Like what?
It turns brown if you don't like keep up with like cleaning like constantly.
Oh, that just means, don't you have like people who clean for you then?
Is that what it is?
I mean, I wouldn't have something unless I had people to clean for me. I wouldn't do something like that. Like, that's such a pain.
Yeah, but it's like, even if you have people to clean, like, why would you want that?
And some people just want that. I don't. I went against I felt like I was going against the design grain by like choosing dark or black marble countertops simply because I didn't want to deal with showing stains. Like,
you must not be a baker.
I know, right? Well, it's one thing. Like, I don't. Yeah, there was the one time I made pizza, there was like flour everywhere. But it also, on the other hand, like made it easy to clean because it was easy to like find out where it was to wipe off. But yeah, white countertops for somebody who cooks, I don't recommend it because it stains so easily. Or if you even like to drink a lot of red wine.
Which I'm not neither of those things. I just want to like have an island, but then also like have a drawer in the island where I could put flour in it. Like Cooking with Shireen. Have you ever seen her?
Oh my God. Cooking with Shireen's bucket drawers where it's like flour and sugar and...
She just like pulled it right out and she can like put flour like right on the counter. And I'm like, oh, that is the dream.
Yes. So good. People, I don't think a lot of people realize that she grew up in the industry. So like she designed her and organizes her kitchens just like a cook would. So like she has a dream kitchen. Yeah, it's so nice. Her and Pasta Queen have amazing
But even if I had that, I don't think I would use flour enough to the point where, like, you know, it will get like bugs in it or something.
Yeah, I don't either. I keep my flour like in the basement in a vacuum sealed bin because I don't use flour. I don't bake very much. But
same.
We can replace it with rice.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially me with rice. Like different types of rice, you know?
Yeah. Nice.
Like a little drawer for short grain rice, a drawer for basmati, a drawer for arborio, a drawer for jasmine, for black rice, brown rice.
Approve.
And maybe like some drawer for like oatmeal, quinoa, and, you know, or like mixed nuts to mix into the rice. Anyways, yeah. I want it. I want an island.
You need a house for that.
Well, I want a house too. Longingly looking out the window.
At that one fig tree that's in the other lot. Oh, nice. At least you have figs. You can't eat them, but at least you have figs.
At least I have a lemon tree too.
Yeah. For Valentine's Day, me and Little John, we had like a double date with a couple of other friends of mine from New York, and they were super fun to be around. But like we went to this like Michelin starred Italian restaurant, and I think it had 1 star or something like that. And like everything was fine, but like
I didn't see you post about it in your Instagram story, so you must have not been impressed.
Yeah, I don't think I was not impressed, but to the point where like they had a Valentine's Day pre-feast menu, and I couldn't tell. And the reason why I didn't like really want to post about it or do anything or say anything about it was because like I don't know if they just like half-assed this menu. Maybe their Valentine's menu was, you know, put together from a chef who was bitter and single, and that's why it wasn't so great. But you know, it's there was especially like in New York where there's so much clever shit going on that was going on during Valentine's Day. There was a Valentine's Day thing where like it was a chicken tender Valentine's Day like meal at a restaurant, and they were calling it chicken tenders. Oh. And it was like a single swipe thing. And I was like, that is so cute. That's so clever. That's like you put some thought into it. Yeah. And this one was just like your basic, like, oh, there's a foie gras with this. There was a pasta with that. And it was just like, I wasn't blown away. But luckily, the company that I was with was really, really cool. So
the yeah, as someone who worked in the restaurant industry for many years, I've always hated it like Valentine's Day, like pre-fee. I've always even hated serving on Valentine's Day because it also brings out people who don't normally ever go out to eat to these restaurants, and they actually don't really know how to act.
It is also the busiest day in the restaurant industry for the entire year. So like super busy. And like, so like, that's why a lot of them do the pre-feast one, because that is a way to control how busy people get in the kitchen. And so, yeah, I have sympathy for it, but at the same time, like you're a starred restaurant.
Like pre-feasts are designed for like every taste bud. So like, it's not going to be the most special thing if you are used to eating out like special food. Yeah. Like, the restaurant I worked at, I think like the Valentine's Day pre-feast also had like steak, salmon, and like a roasted squash or something.
Yeah, it's like practically like crowd. It's like the restaurant version of crowd management.
And the dessert's always like chocolate or cheesecake. Like bleh. Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with chocolate or cheesecake, but you know, just a combination of just like basic 3 courses.
I think like the next time, if that were ever to happen, we were in like New York or something, the move would be like just to go to like a ramen bar or something and just eat together at the bar with like some noodles.
Or go to an Asian restaurant. They don't believe in pre-fee.
That's why I say ramen bar. Like a ramen place.
I guess because so much of like the ramen restaurants have been like so like westernized, you know?
Oh, I haven't gone into a ramen restaurant in a long, long time. It's been like years since I've gone into like a ramen place.
The thing is, like, I like ramen.
I do too.
But it's just like so rich, salty, and heavy that like I just have to be in a very specific mood for it.
That's it. That's exactly the reason. Like, I think it's like so rich, so salty, and so heavy that I'm just like, I really need to be okay with a sodium bloat for like the next 48 hours.
And especially like a lot of the ramens that they serve like in the Western, like America, is
they love their tonkatsu.
They love their
shiro.
So heavy. It also comes with like chashu or like pork belly that's very tender, but it's always like a very, very thick cut, and there's so much of it.
Yes. And it's good, and you don't want to waste it. And I'm not saying like, don't go to these things or these things aren't good. It's just that you have to be ready for it.
You have to be in the mood for it, yo.
It's like something that I would eat if I knew I wasn't going to eat anything else for the rest of the day. And that's never really the case when you're talking about dinner.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but like, bring on like a good bowl of pho any day.
Oh, yeah. I can run a marathon after pho.
I could conquer
it's like
the world
light.
after pho.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. We're just going to take a little break and we will be right back. Yes. Oh my God. What is that?
It's for when I go to the gym, I put on my key, phone, and car key in here. So then when I go to the gym, I just have to hold this and all my stuff is with me.
Does your Stanley Cup have a backpack?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is okay. That is the perfect mix of excessive, but so cute because it's a matching color.
It is, right?
It's so cute.
Because when you go to the gym, you have a water bottle, and I hate using the lockers, But this way, I can literally just have everything, go in my workout clothes, everything on me.
I think gym. I guess what is it? When I go and use the gym, I need a gym with good lockers and stuff like that, so that because I do leave my stuff there. I always take a shower. I always get ready, because it's that point where it's if I'm at the gym, I'm downtown, might as well do some work at a cafe afterwards to maximize my time out of my house, and so I never just go in gym clothes.
Yeah, I like to come home and shower.
Understandable.
But different culture,
Yeah, it is different gym cultures. Wish they would open an Equinox here, but they will not.
Well, you can move to
How's the weather been there? Has it been raining like crazy?
Not at all. It's been beautiful.
Okay, because I heard there was a bunch of flooding and shit recently.
That was week and a half ago.
Oh.
But it's only if you live on the hills.
Oh.
There was a $6 million mansion that was right on the cliff.
I saw that. Not a $16 million a mansion, and just a huge chunk of that cliff just fell off. And was oh my God. And the thing is if you build a house on a cliff, it's not insurable. There's no insurance on that house. So you're just going to say,
I guess you're not worried about money at that point.
It's true. It's true. Anyone with $16 million to throw away at a house on a cliff, at that point, you probably have enough money to fix the mountain that their house is on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's oh, we don't need insurance. We will literally just change Earth.
At that point, there's probably not even their main residency. They probably have a bigger house somewhere.
Meanwhile, we're talking about how all you want is an island, a kitchen island.
I'm just a small town girl with big city dreams.
Oh man!
And you're hating on my backpack.
The backpack on your Stanley Cup. I'm drinking out of a mason jar.
So humble of you. All right, shall we get back into it?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so we've been getting flooded with a lot more viewer questions.
Oh, we have more questions?
We do.
Oh. Aren't you going to do
I think people have been
re-intro,
curious,
though?
but they just couldn't send a message before.
You're not going to say and we're back or anything like that? We're just going to jump right into it?
Or maybe if you just segue right into it, maybe you don't even need the whole we're back.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not like we have commercials to break it out.
It's true. Oh my God.
Wait, should we make our own commercial for the podcast?
I mean, we both have companies. I don't see why we don't. We might as well.
What's a brand that we love that we will give them free promotion for right now?
I don't know. Kimchi Chic Beauty.
I mean, that's a given. Are you feeling ugly? Do you feel nasty? Do you feel like a regular makeup is just not cutting it? Well, don't worry. Kimchi Chic Beauty is here to make you more beautiful than you've ever felt. Because true beauty starts from within. available now in a lot of retailers, depending on which country and which area you're at. But the main place where you could order from is www.kimchichicbeauty.com. That is KIMCHICHICBEAUTY.com. Get yours now. We just recently stocked the Almost Catfish powder. Last time it sold out right away, and based on how it's selling, it's going to sell out pretty soon again. It might even be sold out by the time this podcast makes it on air. So, good luck. Mwah.
And we're back.
And just like that, we're back. All right, so we have some listener questions. The first question is from Sophie. Sophie said, "Hi, Kim and Jon. I love the podcast and has actually been making me laugh out loud when I'm in the supermarket recently." Does she listen to our podcast in the supermarket?
That's actually not a bad idea.
No, I guess.
We like talk enough about food that people could like be inspired for dinner, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm just like, I'm always like weird about like having like headphones like in like public places because what if like someone calls me or...
I mean, you can do like transparency mode.
What's that?
It's like thing when do you have AirPods?
No, because they don't.
Oh, well, there are a lot of like the in-ear. There are a lot of headphones that do it where there are little microphones inside the headphones, so that when you turn on a transparency mode, it will actually let the sound through. So it's like a mix of like your music or your podcast, but also the outside world. It's like a good safety feature.
Okay.
And it also makes it so you don't have to like take out your headphones when you're like talking to people sometimes. But mostly like it's great when you're like running. You can hear traffic and stuff like that.
Okay. Wow, technology.
Yeah, right.
Now if they only make headphones that won't fall out of my ear.
Do you have like really big ear holes?
I think so, because like every time I put them on, they just fall out.
Why don't you try? You should get the ones that like hook onto your ear. And they are not.
Yeah, but those aren't like the Apple branded ones. And for some reason, I've tried them. The sound quality is just like not that good, so I just use like the wire headphones.
The Beats are pretty good.
If you're listening to this and you have a brand that you recommend that clips into your ear, please send them my way because, like, I hate spending money on like shitty electronics that like breaks after a while.
Yeah,
I don't mind like investing money in like a good product, but yeah. Anyways, back to this question.
Yeah.
Back to Sophie's question. My question is, I live in Glasgow, which has some really good food if you know where to look for it. I love food at Glasgow. People always find this surprising and say they never would have expected this from Glasgow. Is there anywhere you guys have been where you found good food that you never expected, / the food has surprised you?
That's such a fun question. For those who don't know, Glasgow is in Scotland.
And I'm saying this to all the Scottish fans that I've met before.
Scottish food hits.
Scottish food
I love Scottish food.
But also, like, I genuinely cannot understand Scottish accent.
Oh,
like,
I don't think
I know
people
it's
who
English speaking to me, but like, I genuinely do not understand what you're saying. So if you ever thought like I was being rude or like not responsive or something, it's because like I genuinely don't know what you're saying.
It's
like no one teaches you how to understand Scottish accent.
I think for the most part, the Scots know that they're very hard to understand, and they kind of like are entertained by that most of the time.
Okay.
At least the Scottish people that I do know. But one thing I didn't realize is that like European United Kingdom in general, like there are a lot of Americans who don't understand like even other English accents.
Yeah.
Including somebody who's really, really close to me, possibly in my household. We were watching the Great British Bake Off without subtitles. And like little John was like sitting next to me and he was just staring at the TV and he was like, what language are they speaking? And I just looked at him like, they're They're speaking in English.
We have the same experience because every time I watch anything like British, I always have to turn the subtitles on. Otherwise, like I'll miss like a lot of the dialogue or any like period pieces.
Which is funny because like I grew up and I learned a lot of English in Hong Kong. So like there were quite a few people with like English or British accents around me. So I was like, oh yeah, I can just understand all of this. And I just thought that was like a universal thing. If you understand English, you understand English in like all its forms. But yeah, there are a lot of Americans, for those who are listening outside, who don't understand anything but the American accents or dialects.
Including me. And I don't know which like region of like British people it is, but they say me instead of I. So they'll say like, me thinks.
Me thinks. Oh,
like,
yeah.
This pastry.
I think that's just like certain. I think that's just like slang, or that it's just like a way people speak in certain way.
I've always like been really fascinated by that. It just sounds so funny to me.
It makes me think of pirates. I don't know why. Are we starting to get offensive? I don't know.
Or maybe.
Anyways,
like inbox has filled it like hate from British people and like.
Right. That being said, I think Scottish and also Welsh are just especially difficult dialects and accents to understand. I do think that they're very pretty to listen to, though. Like, have you heard like Irish people
like
speak
I'm speaking to someone like with like a severe lisp?
Oh my god!
A lot of. Oh my god! Okay, so maybe that.
Wow!
Maybe I should.
Wow!
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But that's what it sounds like to me.
Gosh, you were just canceled too.
Oh my god! I guess that would be the equivalent of like when white people go like, "Well, Asian people sound ching chong chong."
Right.
So you know what? I apologize. I did not mean to offend anyone. I take everything I said back. But so you've been to Scotland?
I have not.
Okay.
I've just had the opportunity to eat a lot of Scottish food. There's a Scottish bakery in Metro Detroit called Ackroyd's.
Do they sell Iron Brew?
I'm sure
Everybody
they do.
In Scotland drinks so much Iron Brew for some reason. I tasted it.
Isn't that a soda?
Yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
It might have been like the
Scottish food in general is like very rich.
It is very rich, yeah.
It's very rich. I went through a period where I was like eating haggis like once a month.
Oh, haggis is delicious. And if you don't know what haggis
so
is, and if you want to try it, eat it first, and then look up what it is.
Yeah, don't be a
vegetarian.
First. But like it's not for vegetarians to do this. But eat it first and find out what it is. But it's so good. As well as like the blood sausage. I love me the blood sausage and all of their different kinds of like savory pies.
Well, it's not called black sausage. It's called like black pudding.
Black pudding, yeah. But that being said, to actually answer their question
about like where it surprised you.
Remember when we took that trip to Twin Cities?
Minneapolis.
Yeah. The food there was pretty good.
I mean, I feel like any like city that's like a hub, like any major city, usually it's like a pretty vibrant dining scene. So that didn't surprise me. Like that the food was good. The only thing that was like weird to me was when I say everybody rave about this one restaurant. And I'm not going to say what type of restaurant it is because I'm not trying to start drama. But every single person we talked to, like said, have you ever been to this restaurant? Oh, they serve like this type of food, like which you won't find anywhere else. That is so good. And when we went, the food was like so bad, like not a single course was remotely edible or even tasted good. And I was like the fact that everybody was raving about this restaurant and everybody from like various groups of people.
Oh my god! Okay, I wasn't talking about that restaurant. I was talking about every other. Yeah. But it got to the point. Back to this place. But it got to the point where I felt kind of gaslit
Yes.
Where like, am I crazy? Am I like, I always thought that I have a pretty decent, pretty open-minded palate, but like, why is all of this bad?
Like everything tasted like dirt.
Yeah.
Like legit.
It was so, yeah.
Like
Bad.
objectively, it tastes like dirt.
Just
like nothing
bad.
tasted good.
Bad. No. Yeah.
So overseas-wise, I think Taiwan was the biggest surprise for me. Because the first time I went to Taiwan, I didn't have any expectations, and I like didn't know much about like the food culture there. But I was like already in South Korea, and then they asked like, "Hey, do you want to like come over for this gig?" And I'm like, "Whatever, I'll just like go in and then like go back out." But all the food that I have in Taiwan was like so good, but not just good, but some of the best food I've ever had. To the point where I ended up extending my trip, and to the point where I like it is like one of my places to like go visit now. So Taiwan like really shocked me. Like food from anywhere is good, even like any food of like the street vendors to like any restaurants. Like we've never had bad meal in Taiwan.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. That I agree with that.
And then another place that surprised me with their food scene was actually Vancouver. Vancouver has like a lot of amazing restaurants and like businesses that are all amazing, especially like Asian food.
Oh, I will say one place that surprised me with how good the food was, and for me to say this now sounds like I'm fucking crazy, and like why would I ever like think this or be surprised by that? But it was it's not a Lima in Peru, because when we went, like the reason why I took my first trip to Peru was because it was when Zika was hitting, I guess. Zika was a thing. And so flights to Peru were super, super cheap. And I didn't know anything about the city. I didn't know anything about like Lima or anything about the country. So I was just like, okay, well, let's go. It's $300 or $200 for a round trip ticket. We're just going to go. And then we got down there and I was like, oh, okay, this just happens to be some of the most like impressive, respected cuisine in like South America, period. And like during that time, I guess like Peru was still like, it was still very much up and coming. It was almost there at that point. Like it was almost like internationally recognized at that point, but it hadn't quite been like the center yet. And now it's like the center of cuisine in South America, pretty much. So yeah, I will say like that was a place that surprised me when I went, and it's not surprising at all now.
Yeah, Peruvian food was really, really good.
Incredible.
Like all the ingredients they use, and like a lot of it's just like so fresh, and like all that seafood, and
so many different kinds of fusion. It was amazing.
Were there any places that you were disappointed with the food? But I'm not saying maybe like not the cuisine overall, but I guess your experience wise.
Yeah. No. I will say like no, there's very few there's like no situation that I can think of where I visited a place and did not have a meal that I enjoyed. Because I can also like switch that part of my brain off. Like the only time, well, it was that one restaurant that we were talking about. Like there was, I think that was probably one of the only times that I can like constantly remember where like the meal was bad. And the only reason why I did not like the meal as much as I did was like, I felt like it was a scam. I felt like almost like the people cooking were in on it and they knew what they were doing. And that made it like just an unpleasant experience for me. But otherwise, like if even like, I don't know, I can find something good to like about pretty much anything I'm eating in front of me. Because I won't put myself in a situation where I was like, I'm ready to not like this meal. I'll try anything and I'll try to enjoy anything. But yeah.
For me,
what about you?
That was Brazil. And I love
You're not the first person to tell me about that.
I love Brazilian food, but just from my experience when I was there was I think I mentioned it before. I asked them like, "Oh, where do the locals eat? Locals eat at home." And I was like, "Well, that doesn't help me." And then a lot of these promoters for like the Brazilian shows kept taking me to like buffets, but these were like all very like mid buffets. Like everything was just kind of like lukewarm and the food was kind of like bland. So finally I was like, please, like, could you take me somewhere like that's not a buffet? And he's like, okay. Then he took me to another buffet. And I was like, I want to experience like, like what Brazil has to offer. I just don't want to eat at like these like mediocre buffets over and over. So that was my like Brazilian experience. And then when we were on Work the World tour, like there wasn't that much like chance to like go out and explore either. So, and then in a lot of the cities, like the promoters made it sound like if I were to like go out, like I will get robbed. So like, don't go out like on your own. They're like, it's really dangerous, but I'm like, is it? But also like, I don't want to risk it either,
Right.
Like someone like who doesn't speak Portuguese.
And also, like, it's hard when you're at the mercy of somebody who may not enjoy or appreciate food the same way that you do. Or especially like in like when you're working in like entertainment and stuff like that. And a lot of times food is just like fuel for some people.
Yeah.
And having a person like that be your host is just like, oh God, this is going to be so bad. Like in food wise.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't really, it's obviously don't, base your opinion on a city. Which cities were you at?
Like a lot of big ones. Rio, Sao Paulo, Porto Alegre, Recife, Brasilia.
Brasilia. And I'm sure like, these party and club promoters and stuff like that, they're not native to those places either. To like they haven't been and lived in every single city and know every place to go into in every single city. So, because like I know like at least in Sao Paulo, there are some of the best restaurants in the world that are based there.
Yeah, I just didn't get to experience them,
didn't get to go to any of them.
I wanted to.
But like, it's hard to compare, and like it's hard to compare, especially when you are comparing like an experience like that to like the time that you went to India. And then you had like probably one of the most amazing gastronomic experiences you ever had in your life. So that's the difference when you're like being taken out or being kind of like shown a country by somebody who loves food versus somebody who like doesn't really value food. It's hard.
And different people have like a different idea of like seeing cities. Some people that is like going out and like club hopping.
Yeah.
And then like grabbing like some like, like hungover food somewhere and then like sleeping all day and repeating the next day. For some people, it's like waking up early and going to the tourist spots.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's like just going to like different restaurants or like visiting, like, everyone has like a different meaning of.
And that's the type of tourist that I am. Like, I'm a person that likes to go and eat places where I wouldn't be able to eat at home. I actually don't really care so much about seeing like a building.
I feel the same way. And a lot of times, like, if I see it, if I'm driving by it, that's fine. That's good enough for me.
That is enough for me.
But I don't have to like go inside and like touch the walls or anything, because all the tourist spots, guess what? They all look exactly the same as those in pictures, and you see it and you're like, okay.
Except the difference is like the pictures like oftentimes are not like packed full of tourists taking photos. So they're oftentimes nicer in the photos. And so, yeah, I want to experience the food. And if I want to go see sights, maybe I'll go for a run. When I was in DC, I went for a run and I like ran and like during my run saw all the monuments, and that was like my favorite way to go and see all those because I was just like there and gone.
Yeah, that's smart. Maybe snap a couple photos, but that's all you need,
Yeah. Well, we have time for one more question.
Okay, so the next question is...
It took us half an hour to answer this one.
I know. We keep getting sidetracked. She asked about like foodie like in a different town, and we're like, we hate this. And also, Iron Brew, LOL.
Iron Brew.
And also, we don't understand British accents.
Oh, no.
Okay, hello. I have a listener question. Last night, I went out for dinner for one of my husband's friend's birthday, and there were 2 people at dinner that I've never met before. We get to the restaurant, and it's an all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue. We're a table of 6, so we pretty much ordered everything in the menu, including duck hearts, duck kidneys, and ox tongue. Keep in mind that we ordered these items. No one forced us to. So the food comes, and right away, the 2 new people start pointing at the organs and gagging. They were calling them gross and weird and daring everyone to eat a heart. This felt so juvenile, and I just said we should all try it since we ordered it, but the gagging and the giggling continued. I was annoyed. Should I read it in a dramatic way? I was annoyed. We are all white people in a Korean restaurant, and it was beyond rude. I rolled my eyes, and I called them children and said nothing else. I don't know these people and won't have much contact with them, but they are friends of friends.
Oh my God.
Just wondering what both of you would have done. Well, okay, first of all, my question is, duck hearts, duck kidneys, and ox tongue is not a traditional part of like K-barbecue.
That's what I was thinking too, though. Like,
and also, this is something like an all-you-can-eat restaurants. Like, it's rarely an option in the all-you-can-eat restaurants menu. So I'm curious to see like what kind of restaurant this was.
Were they at like a?
It almost sounds like they were like a Chinese like.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, or because duck tongue is something that we eat, but like none of the other things. Yeah.
Or duck hearts or duck kidneys. Yeah.
Maybe they were at like a Chinese Korean barbecue. Like
maybe there are
like
a
Chinese,
a
Chinese owned Korean barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, like those are also not things that I would eat on a hot plate, though.
Also, these are not things I would eat at an all-you-can-eat barbecue place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, but to each their own, you know, if that's what you have, that's what you have.
Yeah.
But I guess there's like a part about like reading the room, I guess.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I love like a lot of like exotic ingredients, you know, like I mean, they're not exotic to me, but like for like an average like Becky, like, you know, like chicken feed or even like small intestine or large intestine. It's like too weird for people that didn't grow up eating it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like something like that is something I would order if I was like with a friend that I know would appreciate it.
Yeah.
And not necessarily something that I would order with strangers. Not because I want to like deprive myself or anything, but most people, I don't want to say most.
A lot of
people.
times it's like, no, it's guarding your peace.
Mm-hmm.
It's like protecting your peace, where it's like we're just so used to like in the past having to deal with it to the point where like we just wouldn't order that kind of stuff if we didn't know the people that we were dining with, just because like, you know, there is no, especially because, you know, we wouldn't, if we were going to a place and we were ordering that kind of stuff, we would go to a place that specialized in we would go to an intestine restaurant. Yeah. And in that sense, like, you know, we would also know who to bring to that kind of thing. Like there's a lot of layers to this where I think we just wouldn't ever be in that situation. And that is interesting. And that like brings me to like the group that person was with. I guarantee you, like those 2 people who are gagging and stuff like that, if they were eating at a table with us there, they probably wouldn't be doing the things that they were doing. Like, it was very interesting to me that this person saying that, like, oh, we are a table of white people. And when white people are around strictly white people, the things that they do and they say when they're comfortable are completely different than the things that they do when they're around other people of color.
That's true.
And I'm not like, you know, I'm not even saying it in a disparaging way or anything like that. Well, that is literally just how it goes.
Code switching, right?
Well, not really. Well, yeah. No. In a way, yes. It's like, just like, you know, what some people are just more comfortable showing their true colors when they're not around people of color. And so, like, yeah, in that situation, I don't think, and then that's why I would say is like, well, for Kim and I, like, as people who really value food, eating interesting things, we already know who we're going to go out to eat with. And if we don't, we already have the place figured out and we already have like the things ordered. It would be very, very unlikely that we'd be in that situation to begin with. But if we were in that situation, I don't know, how would you react? Yeah,
I guess, first of all, K-barbecue, I have no problem like educating people on like how to eat K-barbecue and things like that. But sometimes there is a point for me where it gets a little bit exhausting to constantly go to K-barbecue with people who's never done it before.
Yeah.
Because not only have to, explaining like how to do K-barbecue is fine, but then I have to explain everything that's there. From then that's like what every single side dish is, what every single cut of meat is, and then like how to eat it, and then like what are all these different sauces for? Do you have to use all of them? It's literally like teaching someone like how to walk.
Hot pot is the exact same way.
And again, I have no problem doing it, for people that I'm friends with, and I love to like teach you experience so we could like enjoy it together next time too. But if it's going to be a bunch of people that I'm like never gonna see again,
I wouldn't put myself through that.
I don't want to be that like, I don't want to be your token experience. Like, oh, I had K-barbecue for the first time, and this Korean guy ordered for us, and but that actually happens a lot. Be like, oh, my friends, I want to go like K-barbecue for the first time. Like, will you come with us? I'm like, I just met you and I don't know you. You know what I mean?
No, but I think what the question is like, what would you do in a situation where somebody was like making gagging noises at the food in front of you? Let's make it more interesting. Whether it was your own food or not, because I don't think it would make a difference if it was the two of us. But like, if a person was like making gagging noises.
I guess I wouldn't have ordered this cuts to begin with.
Yeah.
So I guess like I would have asked like, well, what kind of like custom meat do you normally like?
Yeah. But for the sake of the argument, you were at a table. Maybe it wasn't a Korean restaurant.
Yeah.
Something was brought into your table. Yes.
Don't yuck my yum.
Right.
But also, I have told people, like that's very disrespectful. Oh my God. I've had this conversation with, no offense to all the white listeners, but it's always white people that I always have this conversation with. Over, like, I've had to tell, oh my God, especially like, on like a lot of these like big tours that I've been on, you're with like all different types of personalities. And I feel like I'm always like, okay, so for example, this one time, we were at a rest stop, and rest stop had two restaurants, a greasy American diner and an Indian restaurant. So one of like the show assistant and I would decide to get Indian food, and everyone else decided to go for like the greasy American diner. Get whatever food you want. Live your life. But every single person that was going to the American greasy diner is like, I cannot believe you're going to eat Indian food and get back on the bus. Like, don't have a diarrhea on the bus. You're not allowed to shit on the bus. And I was like extremely offended. Like, what makes you think like this Indian food I'm about to eat is automatically going to give me diarrhea over this like greasy cheeseburger and fries dipped in ranch that you're going to be eating?
Yeah.
Just because like I'm eating like an ethnic food, automatically you're associating with diarrhea and like being sick. So I told him like that's really offensive, and he's like, well, we don't want to smell that like on the bus. And I'm like, I'll be eating the food. I'm not bringing leftovers. And also, like, even if it did, like, I smell your, like, shitty alcohol breath all the time.
Yeah.
So, at some point, you just have to, like, throw it on the gun. It's like, you're being offensive.
Yeah.
Like, for food, like, that's, like, a lot of people's soul and heart.
Yeah.
So just because you don't like it doesn't mean you get to yuck at people's,
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like, passing judgment on how like an entire specific type of people like nourish themselves, or a cross section of people and how they nourish themselves. Like that's so much. And that stereotype of like Indian food in particular is such bullshit. It was like crafted. It was started by a bunch of people who couldn't handle any type of spice because of their own cuisine. Like, it has nothing to do with like the cleanliness of a cuisine or whatnot. Like, Indian food is really actually good for your stomach. Like, people don't realize that. A lot of their spices and stuff like that is like just
So much, like,
centered
health
around
benefits
aiding
and-
digestion and stuff like that. But it's always like some ignorant people that is like projecting their ignorance onto an entire cuisine.
Like, spice is like considered medicine in a lot of like not these, but like a lot of cultures.
Yeah, totally. And like, you're gonna tell me like fucking a double cheeseburger over like a fucking and some fries is gonna be better for you than not? Oh, that makes me so annoyed. But I guess that would also be like my answer if somebody was like gagging at a bunch of food that was brought to the table. Like, you know, I would probably just like call them out, ask them to stop, make a point of eating it even more because that's just like my personality. But like, again, and I probably would just never make a point never to see those people again. Because it also is reflective on who you are as a person. Like, it is a red flag.
Yeah. Also, this is just like a random pet peeve of mine. And I don't even know if I'm like allowed to be annoyed at this.
Okay.
Do you ever have people that just like randomly decides to like hate an ingredient and they can't tell you why? Like, and they don't really have like a reason, but they'll just say like, oh, I don't like this ingredient. And then they like make it their personality that they hate this ingredient.
No, I don't think, not recently. I don't think, I also am not around a lot of people, but, and the people that I am around happen to be in like the food business. So I'm very blessed that, you know, I'm around a lot of open-minded people, or at the very least, if they don't like something, there is a reason behind it. But normally, like what I come across a lot is people who don't like anise flavor and licorice flavors, which I'm trying to put on I'm bringing on a redemption tour with me because I think it's great. But yeah, no, I don't come across people like that. And I guess if I did, I would make a point to like also leave and never see them again really quickly because
Like, I have one friend who just told me like, oh, I don't like green onions. And I was like, I see you eating green onion all the time. It's like, no, I don't like it when it's like chopped up. I only like it when it's shredded. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So you eat green onion, but you don't like green onion? But also, I don't, only if it's like caught in a specific way?
That makes no sense. Yeah, you're right. That doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. I think if there is some, I also think it's a red flag when somebody makes not liking anything a core pillar of their personality.
Yeah.
Because that means even to them, they think that that is one of the most interesting things about them. So if one of the most interesting things about you is like what you don't like, then I don't have the energy for that.
Maybe I just know way too many terrible people.
Yeah, I think I have one of the best things that people can do to work on themselves is like, don't make it about what you don't like. Focus on what you do like.
It's about what's within.
Sure. Like dumplings.
Like food. What is
Like
in
food.
you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's our podcast for the week.
I think we are almost hitting at like 2 hours for this one.
Oh my God. We got really chatty.
We got really chatty. We might have to make this a two-parter. No, it's fine. We'll just make this you can make this a two-parter, whoever's listening.
Maybe it's a one-parter. Maybe they just want to hear us talk.
Maybe.
Anyways, thank you.
They're going to see like the timestamp on this and be like, oh my God, is this like a season finale?
They're like,
Really?
finally.
Right?
All right, well, thank you for listening and subscribing and sharing, because I know that's exactly what you're going to be doing. And if you have any questions, submit it to our Instagram, one for the table. That is number 1 for the table. And this is Kimchi.
And this is John Kung.
And we'll see you next week.